Hello friends, I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I love to have you here. Today we're doing my most anticipated spooky season reads. I have 5 books in front of me. Some of them I have spoken to you about before, some of them I have not. And these are probably my most anticipated reads for the season ahead, because we're officially in October. Things are getting a little spooky around here. Things are a little unsettling. You know, things are going bump in the night. You can misconstrue that if you want. So I have 5 books in front of me and I'm just gonna start talking to you guys about them. Do I know everything about them? No. No, I do not. Am I gonna read the blurbs? Yes. Yes, I am. Because I am a terrible booktuber. And also, I am really tired right now. So there's that. Anyway, the first book is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Court. This one, if you have seen my US book haul and also my last day in America vlog, you will have seen this already, twice in fact. This one I picked up on a whim in Barnes & Noble when I went to look for one of the other books in this pile actually. And the cover just caught my eye, because if that doesn't scream Halloween, I really don't know what does. This is only Diddy, it's a little novella, and this basically I think is like a haunted house kind of story. So it says on the back, if you will, a high-end era, I don't even know what is high-end? So if anybody knows, let me know in the comments. A high-end era mansion stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bride and its walls packed with the remains of the girls sacrificed to keep her company. It's the perfect venue for a group of thrill-seeking friends brought back together to celebrate a wedding. A night of food, drinks and games quickly spirals into a nightmare as secrets get dragged out and relationships are tested. But the house has secrets too. Lurking in the shadows is the ghost bride with a black smile and a hungry heart. And she gets lonely down there in the dirt. Masterfully turning the classic haunted house story on its head, Nothing But Blackened Teeth is a sharp and devastating exploration of grief, the parasitic nature of relationships, and the consequences of our actions. Sounds thrilling. I actually am really excited to read this. I feel like this is a read with the lights off, kind of, if you dare, book. I basically, this Halloween season, I feel like I said this last year, and I was sorely disappointed. I want to read something so scary that it makes me want to sleep with the lights on for like a week. I want the same feeling I had when I read The Shining for the first time when my ex went away and I had to sleep with all the lights in our flat on because I was too scared to sleep on my own. I also read another book that same week, and I think that one scared me more than The Shining actually, and that was like a occult horror, like a YA thing, and it was horrifying. So yeah, that's how I want to feel, and if I don't feel that way, I'm going to be really disappointed. Second up, we have Petite More by Olivia Blake. This one is like a supernatural, this isn't really scary, I think this is more just like a Halloweeny story. So this one is set in New Orleans, and it says, after the death of her estranged grandmother, Marissa Marrero finds herself bequeathed a surprising inheritance, a house in the New Orleans French Quarter, left to Marissa with a variety of bizarre conditions attached. Among the surprising consequences of Marissa's acceptance is a friendship with a man called Jacques Saint-Germain, an alleged alchemist who may or may not be hiding a questionable history, and a series of encounters with Elizabeth Clavier, a notorious vampire rumoured to hunt mortals for sport. When Jack and Elizabeth's turf war escalates, an ominous prophecy threatens to upend the tenuous detente between sides, leaving the city and its occupants vulnerable to an unknown force. Ultimately, Marissa must decide where she stands amid the battleground of supernatural New Orleans and between Elizabeth and Jack themselves in order to save what remains of her life. This one has illustrations in it in true Olivia Blake style, and they're pretty gorgeous, to be honest. Look at that. Stunning. Another short Diddy one as well, which is good because I need to get my Goodreads count up this month. I have already hit my target for the year, but I set like an official target, the target I actually wanted to reach, and then the target I really wanted to reach, and then a target that was like the ultimate, and I'm actually I think gonna hit the ultimate, so I'm just like, okay. And then we have Black Mamba by William Friend, which is one I have not spoken about before, and I bought this based purely upon that. Daddy, there is a man in our room. This is the chilling announcement Alfie hears one night when he wakes in his quiet suburban house to find his twin daughters at the foot of his bed. It's been 9 months since Pippa, their mother, suddenly died, and they've been unsettled ever since, so Alfie assumes they've probably had a nightmare. Still, he goes to check to reassure the girls. As expected, he finds no man, but in the following days, the girls begin to refer to somebody called Black Mamba. What seemingly begins as an imaginary friend quickly develops into something darker, more obsessive and potentially violent. Alfie finds himself struggling to cope, and so he turns to Julia, Pippa's twin, and a psychotherapist for help. But as Black Mamba's coils tighten around the girls, Alfie and Julia must contend with their own unspoken sense of loss, their unacknowledged attraction to one another, and the true character of the presence of poisoning the twins' minds. So this sounds quite frankly terrifying, and I'm so here for it. So here for it. Speaking of quite frankly terrifying, we have Mary, An Awakening of Terror. And I had never heard of this before until I was watching Jen Agatson's channel, and she mentioned it, and I was just like, immediately, yes please. So this is Nat Cassidy's debut, and it says, Mary is a quiet middle-aged woman doing her best to blend into the background, unremarkable, invisible, and unknown even to herself. But lately things have been changing inside Mary. Along with the hot flashes and body aches, she can't look in a mirror without passing out, and the voices in her head have been urging her to do unspeakable things. Fired from her job in New York, she moves back to her hometown, hoping to reconnect with her past and inner self. Instead, visions of terrifying mutilated spectres overwhelm her with increasing regularity, and she begins auto-writing strange thoughts and phrases. Mary discovers that these experiences are echoes of an infamous serial killer, and then the killings begin again. Mary is definitely going to find herself. This is supposed to honestly be quite horrifying, so I'm very here for it. I think this one is the one that I may be the most scared to read, or this one, The Troop by Nick Cutter, which is the book that I went into Barnes & Noble to find, which is when I bought Nothing But Blackened Teeth. This one I think I'm most scared to read, not because it's like mentally, like psychologically scary, but because there's got a lot of body horror in it. And I just don't know how I'm going to feel about that, because apparently it's really horrifying. So yeah, I've seen a couple of booktubers who like to read really horrifying books read this and be completely disgusted, which is why I'm a little nervous, but we'll find out. So this says, once a year, Scoutmaster Tim Riggs leads a troop of boys into the Canadian wilderness for a weekend camping trip. A tradition as comforting and reliable as a good ghost story around a roaring bonfire. But when an unexpected intruder stumbles upon their campsite, shockingly thin, disturbingly pale and voraciously hungry, Tim and the boys are exposed to something far more frightening than any tale of terror. The human carrier of a bioengineered nightmare, a horror that spreads faster than fear, a harrowing struggle for survival with no escape from the elements, the infected, or one another. Dun, dun, dun. So that was a very quick little video there, but that is my 5 most anticipated spooky season reads. I do of course have other thrillers and horrors on my TBR that I will be reading. I have The Chain, which I've been hearing a lot about recently on my Kindle. So I'm looking at my book pile over there. I have The Predator by Runix, which is like a dark romance. I have Twisted Dares by A.R. Breck, which is another dark romance. I've got Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I've got the new Riley Sager thriller. So I've got a lot of good books to sink my teeth into this spooky season, but I will be finishing Zodiac Academy first. I will also be reading Magnolia Parks and then I'm gonna get delving into these spooky books. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that quick little tumble into my spooky TBR. Let me know if there's any books that you think I should read this spooky season. Leave them in the comments below. I would love to get your guys' recommendations. Anything you think is going to make me really scared, I would love that. I tend to find like demons and possession probably the scariest like thing ever, so if you've got any recommendations for books that kind of deal with demonic possession, let me know, because I feel like that is what I need to like really freak me out this season. And with that, I'm gonna leave you to the rest of your day. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are all doing good. If you have, give me a thumbs up, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye friends.